All right, all right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to another edition of Maryland's Cafe Society Radio on YouTube. Wow, wow, what a week, what a week. And as promised, I'm going to be bringing you these summer specials. And of course, we had a great one on yesterday, and it just keeps coming. I'm so happy to announce today that we have the man of the hour. Yes, the man of the hour is a guest on the show today. And of course, I am referring to 17th Ward Alderman David Moore, of course, Alderman of the city of Chicago. And if you've been following the news, you know that he kind of picked up that mantle that so many before him carried to try to properly honor the city's founder, the city of Chicago's founder, Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. But first and foremost, welcome to the show, Alderman. How are you?
First of all, I am great. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for that introduction. But God is the man of not only the hour, but of the lifetime. He goes before me, and with him, there is nothing that I can do. So if I shine, it's because he let me hang with him sometimes. And his light shines on me. So
I totally get it. I totally get it. Yes, all praises go to God. So listen, before we get into the talk, I just want to break the ice. And you know, we're celebrating so much this month. It's Black Music Month. It's
yes.
National DJ Month. And so the big question is, do you have a favorite artist when it comes to Black music?
Oh,
And
yes.
or do you have a favorite song?
My favorite artist is definitely will always be Michael Jackson. I think that is world known. And as far as favorite song, probably anything by Michael Jackson. I mean, it's hard for me to pick one. But if I do have a go-to song by Michael Jackson, it's always probably the Dance in the Machine or Enjoy Yourself.
There you go, Dancing Machine. Is that the one with the robot? Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun, dun.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Don't now you're telling your age, but that's okay. That was a hit. I think even the young ones like that one. And he does have
Yeah,
such
but you
a
know what? But
go ahead.
now I was saying, but right now, if you're talking about current music, it varies. But right now, Vic Mensa and both Chance the Rapper, but Vic Mensa just put out an album with featuring Chance the Rapper. Besides old school rap, I'm usually not into much rap, but their CD and their music is, I love it. It tells a story. I can relate to it. I'm loving on those young guys from Chicago. They're doing great work. So Vic Mensa and Chance the Rapper, I'm just loving on those
Yeah.
guys' music right now.
Yeah, and it's groundbreaking music too. It's a little different, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. What about DJ? It's National DJ Month. Do you have a favorite DJ?
You know what? I get in trouble if I start naming names and stuff like that. But everybody know I got to stick with 79th Street and go with the King. So Farley is the man. He's from the community.
Yeah.
Farley is the king. In
Farley
terms of being a
Jackmaster
DJ.
Funk.
Yeah,
Well, he was
yeah.
part of the Hot Mix Five, the original Hot Mix Five,
Absolutely,
right? Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I know.
But I'm a huge fan of Bulu Masters as well, because Bulu has a Michael Jackson mix that can't nobody touch. And so I love it when Bulu Master plays his Michael Jackson mix.
Yeah. I always shout out the Chicago DJs because can't nobody do it like they can. Going all the way
Absolutely.
back to the house party music when you dance for hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for that. And so let's go ahead and get into it, Alderman Moore. As I said, back in 2019, you picked up that heavy mantle to carry to um, get the city leadership to properly honor the city's founder, Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, in a major way. In a major way, you wanted to take a claim of Lakeshore Drive and rename it Jean Baptiste Point DuSable Drive. Before we get into, everything else, what 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 kicked that off? What made you want to pick that mantle up and make it happen?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to give a shout out to, before I even talk another further, this can have been accomplished without the leadership of my colleague, Alderman Sophia King. She co-sponsored this with me. She led it as much as I did. I know people give me a lot of credit for it, but Alderman Sophia King, in a respectful manner, is a beast, and she can work deals. She can work strategies, and I needed her to be that voice for me, and she was. And I'm a true believer of teamwork makes the dream work. And so she was doing that. But what even gave us more, again, a shout out to Black Heroes Matter. Had they not come aboard with the 40 different organizations of diverse organizations throughout the Haitian, African diaspora, and other ethnicities, Latino, everything. Without those 40 different organization voices, definitely we wouldn't have been able to do this. And so I want to say thank you to them. What started this for me, and even give a shout out to former Alderman Tony Pretwinkle, who I found out later when I decided to introduce this ordinance, that she had done it previously under the Daley administration. I had not known that. And so let's give a shout out to her for at least at some point starting this, whether I knew or not. And sometimes hitting that glass ceiling sometimes is you need somebody to hit it first. So she hit it first, and then, it put some, probably, I'm sure it put some crack in it where we were able to eventually shatter it. But it came from me when I had taken actually my first ever Chicago boat tour, which was right after I got elected, somewhere around late 2015, early 2016. And as we were taking the tour guide talked about everybody from Al Capone to, Richard J. Daley to even Kinsey, but never mentioned Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. And I was like, after the tour guide ended, I went to him and I said, you talked about everybody, but you never mentioned the founder of Chicago like that. And he said, and I think I said Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, I'm sure I did. And he said, oh, I didn't. He said, well, I usually mention him sometimes. I must have forgotten. My thinking was, you can't forget, because anytime you start off a tour, you got to start out with the foundation, so it's supposed to be the first thing you say. And so I decided to, I said, I need to do something about this, because as a new alderman and you inundated with so much stuff, it got away from me. And I didn't introduce it under the Emanuel administration. I then found out accidentally that there was a bust on the river that I had walked by 100,000 times and not even knowing it was there. I mean, you'll miss it in a blink of an eye, or just not know who it is. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And that's when I then submitted the ordinance to recommend the name change to bring before the council. And we worked on that for almost 2 years. And unfortunately, we got so much pushback. I think they thought it was just a one person's voice, although I had about, and I think it was about 10, maybe close to 19 or 20 aldermen that had signed on, and I thanked them for signing on. So they probably thought it wasn't going to go nowhere, and they began to throw things like the price tag is going to be too much, and then you start hearing some racial overtones. Won't you keep it south of Roosevelt Road? Don't go north of Roosevelt Road. Why don't you do the Dan Ryan? And so when I really first thought about it, I was talking about Auto Lakeshore Drive. Then I had gotten emails from residents up north, some very respectable. Most were, let me just say most were. I have to honestly say that. I cannot lie. most were, and people just feeling their own sentiments about it. But one of those letters said, instead of us changing all of our addresses, we have to go through this, changing driver's license, which to me, even so, would have been worthy of the founder. They recommended, why don't you just do the outer drive? And I'm a person who always looking to build bridges and not build walls.
That's right.
So I said, you know what? Let me just focus on the outer drive. That way, no residential addresses are impacted. Actually, one of the DJs, one of the, I'm not calling his name right now. He's a radio host on WVON. He spoke very well, and when he had me on show and said he wouldn't have compromised, on all of Lakeshore Drive, and so I was even getting some flack from my community, not in a negative way, but in some way of saying, hey, this man needs to be honored. And so, but I was willing to compromise and just do the outer drive, and close, working with Alderman King and the Black Heroes Matter. That was the compromise, and the first compromise, should I say. And then we started getting pushed back from that.
Yes.
Then it ended up being,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Particularly like from January of this year, leading up to the Transportation Committee finally passing it. Shout out to all of them, and Alderman Brookins, who is the chairperson of the Transportation Committee. But it was crazy, right? It was just
Yeah,
listen.
it was.
At any point, did you want to just give up?
Oh no, it's not in me. I come from a stock on the foundation of Reverend Clay Evans raising me, and he was my mentor, my spiritual father. I'm getting teary-eyed right now because June 23rd is his birthday, and times like this, I usually call upon him and go to him.
Okay.
He's not there anymore.
Okay. Did you call his name?
Always. And
take your time. Take your time.
That's why when I have to reach back for the values that he taught me. As you know, when under Richard J. Daley, who had absolute power, when Reverend Evans was trying to build fellowship, Richard J. Daley told him, if you allow Dr. King to come speak at your church, you would not get the zoning, you would not get loans. I will make sure that church would not be built. And that happened, I think, in 67 or 68 or something like that. It was probably a little bit before I was born and after I was born. Reverend Evans stood his ground and said he answers to God and follow God's lead, not man. And Reverend Evans kept his word, had Dr. King speak, but Richard J. Daley kept his word as well. And the steel structure of that church stood for 7 long years. That by the time I was 7 or 8, I still saw the steel structure rusting. And I was either a baby or not even born when this first started. And so when you asked me, did I give up? Giving up is not in me. I'm not concerned about the position as much as I am about the purpose. And me, I'm always willing to lose the position for the purpose. And Reverend Evans taught me that. And so with that, the worst thing that can happen to me is what? I lose my aldermanic position. People go against me, but I would never give up. And Reverend Evans taught me that. And so God will give you the increase. He would elevate you. And that's why I tell people, even through this passing, I take no credit. To God be the glory.
Yes. And that's awesome. That's a wonderful testimony to the power of spiritual mentors and spiritual fathers. So thank you for that. Thank you. I never got a chance to meet him, but he did send a CD. Oh boy, this might be 7 to 10 years ago. I think it might have been his last CD that they released. I was doing
In
a
the mix
gospel.
at 76. He's either in the mix at 76, or I think Curtis Fondren did one with him that I don't know the title to that one right off.
Yeah, I was doing, in
Yeah, that,
addition to, I was on the radio, and in addition to my Saturday show, I was doing a Sunday gospel show, and so I featured
okay.
the CD. Wow, yeah. I mean, it's been a journey for you, and I get it. I get wholeheartedly how it's about it's about the purpose and
Yes.
and not the position. So thank you for that. So fast forward, we finally get to that groundbreaking day when the transportation committee finally passes this. How exciting was that?
Yeah, I guess as people are watching, people have to know that, they pushed it to a last, I think it was either late last year or early this year. I can't remember. They pushed it to a subject matter hearing, which I welcome. I believe when you have a subject matter hearing, all voices, both pros and cons, should be heard. And that's what happened at that subject matter hearing, mostly with pros. Voices who called in hearing, subject matter hearing. Aldermen got to express their concerns. Many was concerned about if it was residential. Some was concerned about the cost, and we answered those questions, and no residents were impacted. And then two, after the mayor's office themselves did the numbers, it came back less than $1 million estimate, $833,300. And
Yeah,
so every time you try to throw something, it wasn't sticking,
yes,
you know. And
yeah,
then we finally got to committee, which I thought we was going to get a vote in that committee this year. Then it said they knocked it off and said they didn't call it to committee. And then the chairman said, "Well, I promise you, we just do it in April." Which I was frustrated about then. And then when we got to April committee, it wasn't on the April call. And well, I promised in April, we're going to do it April 29th, which is the last day, which means it goes to the May City Council instead of the April City Council, because it was just constant, unfortunate game plans. And I think in some ways a shot in the heart in some ways to democracy. And to me, I could take an up and down vote. Just give me an up and down vote. But don't play with democracy. And that's what
mm-hmm,
that's what I take issue with.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we fast forward to that May full city council meeting, and it was as you stated, one blow after another, and myself, including the others with the Black Heroes Matter coalition, we had pretty much resolved to the fact that the vote was going to come through during that meeting. And it was another
Yeah,
shocker. But you and Sophia King and everyone else stayed in there and kept pressing until there was a compromise put on the table
yeah,
from
yes,
from the
yeah.
mayor.
Well, I mean, the compromise, it was more than just one compromise. It was, a $40 million project. They were asking people to take it. Then it came to renaming Millennium Park. It was a whole bunch of stuff out there. And even with the original compromise, the reason why that fell apart, because they wanted us to package everything together and take it back to committee. And I wasn't going back to committee on it. We have gotten it out of committee. We knew we had the votes, and that's why all the game plan and the slap in the face to democracy was happening. And so we had the votes, and I just wanted a up and down vote. But when the leaders of the Black Heroes Matter called and said, we will take the compromise, I didn't ask them. They said they wanted to on their own. And again, I'm a person who built bridges and not walls, although I wasn't happy about it. Again, I build bridges, so it's not because it's not about me. It's bigger than me. And so since it's not about me, and if it's the focus on the people, the purpose, then although I wanted it to be DuSable,
Straight up.
DuSable Drive,
Yeah.
straight, again, it's not about me, it's about the purpose. And I can move myself out the way to put the people first. And that's what I did on that compromise. And so we were able to get it through. And I thank all 33 aldermen who voted on it. And I respect the opinion of those aldermen that did not vote on it. Some were credible opinions. Others, let's just say, when a person show you who they are, believe them. And Alderman Rivera is one of those persons.
Got it. Got it. But listen, I was trying to summon up the spirit of DuSable during when the compromise offer was laid on the table, and I was thinking, what would he do? How would he approach this? And just in the research, I'm sure you've learned a lot. I certainly have learned a lot about DuSable in the last year or
Absolutely.
so. And he was just a prolific businessman, and he developed commerce, the first commerce system in this
Which is the
city.
foundation for the mecca of this business city. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And
Which is
so
the foundation for the mecca of what this business is. And yeah,
and so I'm thinking, in business, there's always compromise, right? In business,
yes,
and a
absolutely.
lot of
And that's what he
cases.
was about.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to
Right.
work with everyone, and so I thought, well, his name is still going to be on the drive, and so I think it's a pretty nice compromise, just as long as John Baptiste Point do Jean Baptiste, and then the second line on the sign should say DuSable Lakeshore Drive, right?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
how
Yeah.
it's going to read?
Well, I mean, we have to get in some meetings with CDOT, and I'm hoping that, at the top, it'll say John Baptiste Point,
Point.
and then in big letters, it'll be DuSable, and then in smaller
Lakeshore Drive.
letters, it'll be Lakeshore Drive. So,
Absolutely.
that's what I'm hoping. It's sort of like the way Dr. Martin Luther King Drive is on signs. Everybody don't see the Dr. Martin Luther, but you see the King. And you see, and that's why people call it King Drive. They don't, always say the whole name, but it even on the sign, the street signs, it's Dr. Martin Luther, but then the big signs, the big name that you see is
The
King.
letter,
Which,
the lettering.
that's what, right? That's what should stand out. Absolutely.
Well, as long as we don't need a magnifying glass to see that John Baptiste Point at the top. Make sure the lettering is sizable, but yeah, that DuSable Lakeshore Drive should really stand out. So this is great. Now I was so amazed, Alderman, when a few people were telling me to go to social media and look at some of the comments and blah blah blah, and so I did, and so some of the comments that people were posting after um, we all achieved this great historic moment were negative. There were comments about, oh, why are we wasting city time on signs and names on signs when the focus should be on more pressing matters like the violence and the crime that's happening in the city of Chicago. And those kind of comments, and I'm thinking, well, don't they know, as Alderman Sophia King said, that we can all walk
Oh,
and
she
chew
eloquently.
gum at the same time?
Her
That
speech is one for the ages.
it was beautiful.
It really is. It is.
Beautiful. But what's your response to this negative?
Well, first of all, I guess I didn't see a lot of negative stuff. I saw a Haitian woman and her daughter driving down Lakeshore Drive on Facebook Live. excited. And so people
Yeah.
coming out the shadows. I saw young people saying, thank you. I saw celebrations. I saw elation. I have no doubt there were some negative comments, but the majority ones that I saw was similar attitudes and excitements that I saw surrounding the Juneteenth, and people recognizing this is a trip down unity, a drive down hope. And
Yeah.
so that's what I saw and I felt. And yes, I did hear the comments even before it was passed in terms of people saying, why don't you have other things to focus on? First of all, let me tell you, symbolism matters. If not, we wouldn't have an American flag. If not, people, the people in the South wouldn't be so beholden to their Confederate flag. Symbolism it means a lot because it moves people. It gives people, in this case, hope, and in many cases, bring about unity. And that's what, I can't change the world, but I can change the world around me. And as Chicago is a tale of two cities that we know, if I have people driving from the north side and along DuSable Drive and they do their research, I have confidence it's going to invite them to go to the DuSable Museum, and as well as to other parts of the South Side that they've never ventured. As my children from Powell Elementary School and Stagg Elementary School who got right involved in this project, and people need to visit both schools, especially Stagg, and see the great mural that they have done on Black Chicago from DuSable all the way up. It is awesome. All these things ignite unity, ignite hope. And so that's what I'm so excited about in regards to this. And yes, my eyes and my focus was on my community as well as the city when it comes to violence. That's why in the 17th ward, our murder numbers are down from the time that I got in office up until now, is because I'm still doing my work out there. I'm still working on economic development in my community. And so it takes that to be a leader, to do multiple things, and not all those multiple things get the press if it's not sexy all the time. Me going and making sure that grass is cut on Ms. Johnson's block, or that people are not hanging out, so that I don't have a mass shooting in my community. You have not heard about that in the 17th ward over the past couple of years. That's because I'm out there being proactive and working with my commanders in both 6th, 7th, and 8th districts. So the fact that you haven't heard that I had a mass shooting, that's because I'm doing my job. And so I am both walking and chewing gum at the same time.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Applause, applause. I tell you. Yeah, so we won't even to speak on that anymore because it's insignificant. If I listen, I can remember when I was a kid growing up in the city and learning about DuSable Museum. You just mentioned it, and then that it's named after the founder of the city of Chicago, and I'm thinking, what, and this is in contrast to growing up knowing that Black people weren't necessarily welcome in the downtown area, and then discovering
Absolutely.
that his home and his business was right where we weren't necessarily welcome. So it just
Absolutely.
it just did so much for my sense of pride and sense of ownership of
Well,
feeling like I belonged in the city of Chicago, and worthy to
right.
be downtown and worthy to even dare cross that bridge that is now called DuSable Bridge and be on the other side of downtown.
Right. And so even through this whole thing, like everybody talking about the name, it wasn't changed to Lakeshore Drive into the 40s. Again, I'm thinking Lakeshore Drive has been Lakeshore Drive all the time. It done had two names. And first it was Erickson, the Explorer, then it had some other name, then eventually Lakeshore Drive. So come on, let's not act like and everybody talk about it. So yeah, it's a beautiful name. In terms of iconic, what's iconic in Chicago when you go, when I travel, I never hear anybody say, "Oh man, I love Chicago. I love the fact that you all have Lakeshore Drive." No, what I Magnificent Mile. I hear Michigan Avenue. I hear your skyline, and I
Yeah,
hear your lake itself.
yeah.
I never heard anyone say, "Oh, I can't. I just love Chicago because I get to drive down Lakeshore Drive," or I just never heard that.
Mm.
And I hear Capone, but I've never heard Lakeshore Drive. The other thing that we found out in this was that Kinsey, who has a street named after him downtown, who was termed to be in some books, people lie, as the founder of Chicago, but Kinsey had purchased DuSable's house from him. But what did Kinsey leave us with? And he has a street name. He committed the first murder in Chicago. He killed his wife. And so
Oh,
there was so much that was found out during this cycle. And
yeah.
even when people talked about the address changes, when we said there wasn't going to be any residential addresses, people was like, well, what about the museum? What about Soldier Field? Well, CDOT found out they were using the wrong name addresses anyway. Around
Oh,
the museum,
oh,
they got names called Museum Drive, McFetridge Drive, all these names. So they were using the wrong street names anyway, so that if an Uber is using the navigation system, and the museum is using Lakeshore Drive, they dropping you off right in the middle of the outer drive, because
yeah,
that's not the correct address. And
yeah,
so it's so much was found out
yeah.
during this process, hopefully for the better, no doubt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think the city as a whole has been educated. Those who have been paying attention have been
Absolutely.
educated, and they know the significance of this now. And so again, hats off to you all. And of course, Sophia King had already accomplished a great feat with having Congress Parkway renamed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So again, congratulations to you all. I'm just so excited about all of this. Now, the mayor has announced that she's going forward with her $40 million plan for DuSable. Will you all?
Which we've always said is a great compliment. We
Yeah,
never pushed against it. We've always said from day one, that's a great compliment. Not an alternative, but a great compliment to
gotcha.
renaming Lakeshore Drive to DuSable Drive. So we
Yeah.
always said that was a great compliment. So of course I support that.
Will you have input though, Alderman? Will you have a voice and how that plays out?
I mean, it depends on how it shapes. I can have a voice in anything. We all can. Part of it is with private funding. Part of it is park district. We don't control the park district budget, but yet as an alderman, I can be an advocate and have a voice around it. So as much as the administration pulls me in on it, I would definitely make sure the voices of the people are carried in there. Not so much David voice, but the voices of the people who I represent throughout not only my ward, but those in the city of Chicago that are not in my ward.
Yeah. So, and what about the full city holiday? Do you think that the mayor and the city council will be in support of that?
You know, I would hope so. I would hope that ordinance is introduced. I'm not sure right now if I'm going to pick that up at this time. As you know, right now I'm also running for Secretary of State, and so I right now and just coming out of this, it's possible that someone else may pick it up. We'll see, or it's possibly something that the mayor may see as doing the right thing, and she just may introduce it on herself. And so we'll see how we move forward on these
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, you jumped the gun because I was just going to say again, Alderwoman Sophia King, Transportation Committee Chair Alderman Howard Brookins, and all the Transportation Committee members, yourself, the Black Heroes Matter Coalition founders Ephraim Martin and Justice Shelvin Louise Marie Hall. And even
Absolutely.
the mayor, we'll give her some credit for the compromise, have made history in a great way, honoring Chicago's founder. And so The wrap-up question was going to be, how are you going to outdo yourself? And you just said it. You're going to run for
Well,
Secretary
yeah,
of
yeah, and
State.
it's not, but I don't know if that's outdoing myself or not, because it's never about me. It's never about me. From the
Hmm.
time I was called to run for office, I tell people there are two people that I keep my eyes on. Anybody saying they want to be a preacher, and anybody saying they want to be an elected official. Those are not assignments that you run to, you run from, because it's a
From them.
calling. And people who say they want to be a preacher, you never hear them say they want to be a pastor, because that's the work. That's going to see about the sick. That's going to funerals when you got other things to do, or being there late at night. You don't hear some people saying, I want to be a public servant, because that's when you got to answer Miss Johnson's call at
Mm.
midnight about, guys hanging out in front of her house, or, trees are not trimmed or
Mm.
whatever. That's the work. And you give
Yes.
up yourself, you give up a lot of you. And so it's a calling, and that's similar to what this next level that God has touched my heart to do. And just going to be, working for the people. I just love being a servant. And the Secretary of State seat is a servant seat. And as I told everybody, what I'm excited about this race, unlike some other races, everybody in this race has a track record. And so it's easy to, usually when somebody's running, they saying what they're going to do, and you don't know who to believe. And you're like, well, all of them sound alike, or everybody, it doesn't matter. Look at what they have done. Everybody has a track record. And if you look at the person's track record, is that the person that you want? And that's all people have to answer. And I tell people, when people have shown you who they are, believe them. And so
Dave,
look at the track record. It's not like, they're going to change or we're going to change. We are who we are. And
that,
so that's how you make that selection.
that's right. That's right. And it's so wonderful to hear your humbleness and to acknowledge the fact that you are indeed a public servant, and that it's not really about you. It's about the office itself and the people that you're going to be serving. So I do wish you tremendous success in your next
Thank you.
level of service to the people here in the state of Illinois. Do you have any closing remarks? I think we
You
covered
know
it
what?
all, but
First of all, I'm just grateful for this opportunity, coming on your show. It reminds me, and I talk to crowds, big or small. And again, it comes from my teachings from Reverend Evans. He was people call him the Godfather, the Master Pastor. Whether it was a large church or a church with 5 people, Reverend would go there and preach like it was his last day preaching. And he gave them the same love, same respect, the same energy, but also the message from God about love and unity. And I am just so humbled and so honored to have come under his tutelage, and just be under his direction for 50 plus years, and so again, it's carrying that legacy on. I'm standing on his shoulders. I'm standing when I was at 13, having an opportunity to meet Harold Washington before he was even congressman, and hear him encouraging me as a young man, for young people to get involved. Happy that I'm even the only one in this race that circulated petitions for Jesse White when he first ran, because my uncle was a tumbler, who's the same age I am, was a tumbler for Jesse White. And I got to know Jesse White as a young man, and he encouraging young people. These are the shoulders that I'm standing on. So I have to do better. I don't have an option. I have to.
yes, 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 yes. And I see victory in your future, just like we got the victory
Bless you.
in the renaming of Lakeshore Drive to Jean Baptiste Point du Sable Lakeshore Drive. Woo!
Absolutely. Praise God.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Listen, you just reach out if there's anything you think I could do to help you in your endeavors. And I do wish you much, much more.
All right. Thank you so much. And I appreciate this opportunity.
Thanks for sharing your time.
Thank you. Bless you.
Peace. All right,
Peace be
everybody.
with you.
Alderman David Moore stopping by the show to, of course, just share with us uh, this wonderful journey to achieving a goal that has been, as I stated, about 200 years in the making, and that is to have the city of Chicago honor its founder, Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, in a iconic way, and so it's finally done. Of course, he's a man of Caribbean descent, a black man, and so we're just excited that this has all happened. So um, we, do want to remind you that, the renaming of the outer Lakeshore Drive to Jean-Baptiste Point, DuSable Lakeshore Drive, was done just to show Chicagoans and Americans and the world citizens Chicago's commitment to chipping away at structural racism against Blacks and other people of color. Now, there will be, as I told you in the last um, video, that there's going to be a rally, unity, caravan celebration that's going to start in Grant Park on Saturday, July 23rd at noon. And from the rally, the celebration, everyone's going to jump in their cars and drive the route of the outer Lakeshore Drive, the outer DuSable Lakeshore Drive, from the south to 67th and then back north to Hollywood. And then everyone's going to reconvene in Grant Park and wrap up the celebration. So be there. All right. All right. And you can go to blackheroesmatter.org for additional information. And also, before we go, I want to offer congratulations to the latest honor that has been bestowed on DuSable Museum. On Tuesday, the United States Ambassador to France, Philippe Etienne, awarded the Order of Arts and Letters to DuSable Museum of African American History President and CEO Perry Ermer for the museum's programs that highlight the relationship between African Americans and the French. Now, it's the French government's highest honor in the arts. So, congratulations to DuSable Museum, the CEO and president, and all of those who work hard to make the DuSable Museum of African American history all that it is. All right, and so today is the last day in the month of June, and so we're just going to look at that word that we have been practicing and learning all month, and that word is Empyrean. Empyrean, and again, it means relating to heaven or the sky, and boy, has this been an Empyrean last couple of days. Only, as Alderman David Moore said, with God in the mix, could all of this have happened? And so, once again, as we close out the month of June, our word for this month has been Empyrean, relating to heaven or the sky. And we'll be announcing our July word when we meet back here on the first show in July. So before we go, I want to, you know what? Let's go ahead and um, yeah, let's go ahead and close out the show with what love is. And before we do what love is, I do want to just remind you that if you have show ideas or you want to support the show in any kind of way as an advertiser, sponsor, or our Christmas giveaway that starts in October, send an email to producer at marylandscafesociety.com. And of course, there you can link up with me on the social media as well as the WordPress blog, Maryland's Cafe Society. All right, let's look at what love is. Love is when your smile says it all. Love is when your smile says it all. And of course, everybody, until we connect again during these summer specials, if you don't do anything else, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege. Once again, thank you, Alderman David Moore of the 17th Ward in Chicago, for stopping by and sharing your time with us here on the show. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and we'll do it again on the next show. Peace, everybody.